My earliest memories in the house on Fowler Island are of the girls, Henrietta and Beatrice, their carnivorous joy echoing off the walls of Quarry Hollow. The sounds of their fearless jubilation would wake me from my rest no matter where they were, hunting for spiders in the extra bedrooms down the hall from their father's study, or playing their monstrous games in the abandoned quarry that abutted the house. Their voices brought me forward. Their giggles and whispers pulsed through me, a heartbeat of their making. Suddenly, with baby Henrietta's arrival, I had become grounded again in a specific time and place, something I had not realized I'd been craving. I found that I could come out of the walls, move about the house, stare out its windows. From the turret on the third floor, I could see the limestone quarry, the gaping maw in the land that marked the end of a specific pain for me that I still can't quite remember. We talked all the time, Henrie and I. Beatrice could never hear me, not in those days, but Henrietta translated for her. The three of us in conversation, while Carrie and James slept in the farthest reaches of the house. We whispered about the mysteries of the island, and I told stories of their ancestors. The famous Eileen and Elizabeth Fowler, the sisters who could speak to each other without using their mouths, built the small downtown, the roads, and the island museum, which the girls had come to love. I told them about the arrival of their great-great-grandfather Seth Volt, and how he'd broken Eileen and Elizabeth apart, and how the sisters, even isolated from each other, planned their revenge, an epic escape that would take generations of women to complete. Henrietta promised me she'd never let anyone come between her and her big sister. Henrietta didn't, of course, know what was coming. Even when I warned her about the legend, she did not believe it. But my time with the girls was joyful. I gained substance, depth, found a solidity that allowed me to continue the work Elizabeth had started so long ago, keeping the house sealed tight. I was in love with those girls. Still am. I mothered them as best I could, heard their secrets and their sadness, answered their questions, and traced their family tree on the ceiling of their bedroom so that they could conquer the madness, following the trail of their history to a brighter place. I wanted to tell them more, warn them, but then I would remember the smack of the water, the weight of it filling my lungs, a whimpering far off in the dark, and the monster sucking me down, down, down. I did try, over and over, but each time, my tongue would become leaden, stuck ruthlessly to the bottom of my mouth. Heavier and heavier it would get until I couldn't make a sound. Couldn't warn Henrietta that the island had plans for them, that it would slowly press in on them, making the dark, sad spots in them grow. Big rotten splotches that would take over their bodies, separate them from each other, mold over their hearts. And then, when the black and blue fuzz of it had softened their resolve, the island would offer them the perfect solution. Jump. He could never abide that his daughters might lead normal lives. When I told him I wanted to join the Girl Scouts, he said, "Hell no. Those ladies are fascists." In high school, I asked for an SAT tutor to supplement my fancy off-island high school, and he said, "Those tests are some extra kind of bullshit, my dear. Try smoking a little weed. Have some fun." When I decided to switch my major to mathematics in my fourth year, so I could add something more sensible and structural to my life, he told me I was going to turn into a goddamn robot. Study philosophy or poli-science. Or better yet, don't minor in photography. Major in it. I've spent my whole life trying to rebel against my father by being a good girl. Stand up straight. Be kind. Live every day like it's a goddamn pop song. It works mostly. Now I can hear the background noise of the island over the phone, like a bundle of cats, spitting and scratching, water lapping at their mangled tails, and the sound of it triggers something animal in me. I need to run, to scream, to strip myself bare. "I've got news, Henrie," my sister says in a quiet voice amid the island noise. "There's still no cell tower on Fowler, apparently, so you have to go down to the dumb ferry dock and stand on the edge of it while pointing your body toward the off-island town of Marblehead to get a call out." I picture BB there, tall and beautiful, her hair blowing in the wind. My sister is like my dad, quick to temper, does what and whomever she pleases, and never hesitates to tell me exactly what she thinks of me, whether I've asked or not. It makes sense, after all, she was the keeper, the one who got to stay on island with my dad after the divorce. BB's voice is different tonight, though. Hesitant. She shouldn't even be on island. She should be in Boston, in graduate school. The semester hasn't ended yet. All my senses heighten at the realization that she is not all right. She sounds sad, uncertain. I'm dressed for a date, legs shaved and covered by jeans. I have on a white tank top and a white blouse with bright red mouth-shaped flowers and thick green vines embroidered around the collar. Bluebirds, the vines. I came to the studio tonight to develop one more photo before heading to the bar to meet my date, but 2 hours have passed. He is no longer waiting for me. What news? I have a date to get to. It's 11 p.m. Jesus, Henrie. You stood him up, didn't you? I can't hear you. I hear her perfectly well. Stop saying yes to dates you never plan to go on. It's cruel. I don't do that. I snap at her, but I do this all the time. When I agree to a date, I have every intention of going, but then I just don't. I lose track of time. I fall asleep. I remember he has some sort of annoying mannerism that I don't want to sit across from. BB thinks I'm afraid to get rejected. She always says, "You can't be afraid to get your heart broken." I never tell her that fear of getting hurt isn't the issue. Not really. It's something else. Something I don't want to explain. It's like not wanting to stand at the edge of a cliff because I'm afraid I'll jump. My brain goes to how I will mess it all up. Crush him. Stab him in the heart. Push him under until he drowns. I've never hurt anyone or anything. I move spiders outside rather than squish them. But there is and has always been this part of me that knows I'm capable of far worse. This is serious, Henrie. Crackle, cackle, crackle. The phone's voice is as real as my sister's, and I have a sudden memory of the quarry, the feel of it on the pads of my feet. Rock and pine needles pressing into the palms of my hands. I tilt my head left, then right. My neck cracks loudly, my back aches. I push the paper down into the developer. The liquid swells up over the rectangle of white, and the rubber-tipped tongs squeak against the tub. Outside the small building, the campus pounds with Friday night music, something electronic, 100 pairs of feet jumping and landing again and again and again. That old island rage rises in me. I push it down, shove and shove until I can latch myself shut. You still there, BB? Sit. You sit. No, Henrie, seriously. Sit down, then I'll tell you. I hear a new layer of noise. BB is crying. I let the tongs rest in the developer and prop myself up against a metal stool as my mind races through the possibilities that would be bad enough to merit silence and tears from my older sister. I come up with nothing solid, but a vague memory of a tire swing curved around my body, the rubber smelling softly toxic, not unlike the darkroom, and a little bit of that feeling I latched shut pushes at the lid. Daddy died. I found him this morning. What? How? He's only 65. He was turning 70 this year. He was. Suddenly, I feel the cold water of the quarry pond lapping at my ankles. The sharp limestone slick under my feet. I want to howl. We think his heart got him. But it could have been his kidneys, his lungs, his brain. All of it was fucked up. He'd been drinking and smoking more and more. How long have you been on the island? The latch pops. Anger oozes out. A slip of bile-colored cloth peeks through. A day, a week. Hardly matters. He wasn't answering the phone, even though I could tell he had it plugged in. You're supposed to be in Boston. I'm having trouble keeping up with the conversation. I'm falling behind. He can't possibly be dead. He didn't call. He didn't warn me. He wouldn't do that to me. He wouldn't abandon me again. Henrie. What? Dad is dead. I'm a fucking orphan. BB, I snap. She's called to share her latest problem with me. Her current sorrow. This news, in her head, has nothing to do with me. Not really. It's her dad that's dead. I want to reach out and claw her face. What? You are not a fucking orphan. You have Carrie and Miss Sonia. I haven't thought about Miss Sonia in a long time. It was too painful, but we loved her as kids. We spent tons of time with her on island, and according to my mom, Miss Sonia helped raise BB after BB's mother died. Carrie is not my mother. That's true. My mother is her stepmother, BB my half-sister. After the divorce, BB made it clear my mom was not necessary to her life. BB never returned a single note or phone call from her. Even went so far as to send back birthday and holiday gifts, marking them with her own bad handwriting. No longer at this address that I'm the peacemaker. The one who always made sure to send cards. To remind Carrie to call BB on her birthday. To sign both our names, mine and BB's, to gifts on Mother's Day. And Miss Sonia is a joke. We don't even talk anymore. Henrie, I think Dad died a few days ago before I even thought to check on him. It was horrible. His body. What? I ask, this time really not hearing. Like a whole separate thing had sloughed off. I can't hear you, BB. It's like he shed. What? An inexplicable fear rolls through me. It floods my ears and I go under. The surface of the quarry pond far above my head, the water icy. My foot caught in something, a trap tightening around my ankle. I can't breathe. My sister is angry with me now. Are you freaking out? I can hear your fucking teeth chattering. When we were kids and on island together, we would pretend we could toss thoughts between us without speaking. Legend was that Eileen Fowler was a bit of a mind reader, so we figured that tiny piece of her could have been passed down to us. It was fun to try, and we did become good at knowing each other's thoughts. It seems silly to me now that we ever thought of ourselves as miraculously powerful or even on the same team. The funeral will need to be next weekend, Henrie. And its masquerade. Fowler Island has its annual spring masquerade in early April. When our parents divorced, I was 14, so I never got to attend a masquerade. BB stayed on island with our dad, but I left with my mom and never went back. Not once. Still, I've grown up hearing all about masquerade. It's a legendary event. College students flock to it, and BB always calls to tell me the gory details. He probably did this on purpose so he could have the weirdest funeral ever, BB says. I'm told masquerade has become an important event for the economy of the island. The two ferries unload passengers who have been packed in like sardines. It started modestly, normal clothes a bit torn and bloodied, skin yellowed with proper zombie makeup, a sort of second and exclusively gruesome Halloween. But then it grew, as good traditions do, to allow for more elaborate and far sluttier and bloodier costumes. I'm told that the bed and breakfasts fill up with these drunk ghouls, who do shots and dance all night to music that blares out of every available island speaker. You've got to get here, Henrie. And come alone. Don't bring Carrie. What? What? I need you to myself. That's ridiculous. She'll want to know, and she'll want to be there. Whatever. The line goes dead. The red light in the darkroom suddenly seems murderous, and I flip on the overhead, my heart beating fast, sheets and sheets of photographic paper now ruined. I lower my body to the floor. My cell phone is held tightly in my closed fist. There are things I should now do. Call my mother. Rent a car. Talk to my senior project advisor. But the rage is growing in me, curling my toes, pushing my fingernails into my palms. Fuck him for dying. Fuck you. I say out loud. It doesn't help. The anger itches at my joints, makes me jump to my feet. Pace. What did my father look like as he died? Did the pain show on his face? Was his mouth pulled downward by sadness? Was his face scrunched up in fear? I pause, turn to the full-length mirror hung on the back of the darkroom door, and imitate the possible expressions. I do not recognize him in me. I never have. I don't look like my father, sound like my father, or act like my father, so I keep going, stretching my face until, suddenly, I catch a flash of him. My mouth monstrously wide, my hands at my neck, teeth looking more numerous than they are as they disappear back into the dark of my throat. I see in that brief scream of an expression that I have his cheekbones, his two full eyebrows. I see, if I'd been a boy, where my Adam's apple would protrude too short and too high like my father's. A shiver rumbles through me. He is dead. I will never see him again. There will be no moment of reconnection. No proud hug at my senior show. No moment when he realizes that I was the more talented sister. No confrontation when I tell him all the things he's done wrong. I want to dig my teeth into his throat, rip out his jugular, so he can feel the loss I've felt. Shame comes next. A rush of it so swift and sharp I lower myself back to the floor. Then I begin to cry, sob, unable to stop. The cell phone buzzes again in my hand. I answer it zombie-like. It is BB, of course, her voice inexplicably clear. I can't do this without you. I know. I haven't even cried yet. Not fully. Okay. You weren't close to him like I was. You have no idea how much this hurts. She sounds angry with me. Really and truly pissed. Something wrenches so sharply inside me that I press my hand to my throat, as if the pressure will ease the wound. I'm on my way, I say in a whisper. The island misses you, Henrietta Volt. It misses us. I wish she hadn't said that. A memory surfaces, the feel of a growl, the dark of the quarry around me, and my body strong and hungry. The cafe is busy for a weekday morning. I slide my body into one of the two empty chairs to wait for my mom, and the brightly painted blue wood creaks like it doesn't want me. A little girl is at the piano, seated on the bench next to her mother. She's leaning forward so she can pound her fists against the yellowing keys. She's 7 or 8, too old to be treating the piano this way, but her mother smiles her on, as if everything she does is magic. The girl has dirty blonde hair that frizzes down her back, and her little feet are bare despite the chill of this Ohio spring. A smear of chocolate on her cheek reaches up to her temple, and when she turns to smile at me, I see she has no front teeth, just a gummy hole where they once were. She looks like an on-island Beatrice of the same age, or perhaps a little Henrietta. We rarely wore shoes back then, and our clothes came from island thrift, whose merchandise came from the 351 island occupants, of which we were 2. So any shirt or coat or pants you bought was likely an article of clothing you could trace back to friend, enemy, or relative. Although BB and I were born 2 years apart to different mothers, people constantly mistook us for twins. And not just the summer tourists, but even the true island folk would trip on our names. The man who owned the penny candy store gave up and referred to us as the Volt sisters. I used to love this. I think now that the confusion about which was Henrie and which was BB had more to do with my desire to belong to my big sister, to be exactly like her in every way, which made it that much worse when she and my father let my mother take me away. We both wore our dirty blonde hair long and tangled. BB shaved hers to the skin in college, but mine has remained long. We both have high cheekbones, tiny ears, and are naturally thin, a blessing my mother says, although BB has larger breasts and the potential to fat up, BB's words, if she ever has kids. We have the same startlingly blue eyes. Mine are almost ugly in their paleness, more translucent than blue, but saved by a tight ring of gold around the pupil. The little girl at the piano has our elfin features. I don't like her, and I restrain myself from slamming the piano lid down on her tiny hands. Now, sitting in this cafe, listening to the bang of the piano, mangled by a little girl who could have been me or my sister, I feel the weight of the surprise I'm about to lay on my mother, and I wish I had prepped her for it. For the entirety of that first fall after we left the island, I refused to go to school. I blamed my mother for the divorce. I kept my hands balled into fists with my elbows bent at my sides, as if I thought someone were about to offer up his or her face for punching. On island, my mom had been delicate, brooding, sickly, just generally in need of protecting. Off island, she was strong and free-willed and blissfully, her word and not mine single. She left my father for the mainland and made her own life. One where she was suddenly happy. A different person entirely. I was a different person too, delicate, brooding, sickly. We'd switched places, and I hated her for being so joyful. I missed my sister. I missed my father. I hated them for not missing me enough to bring me back. I missed the island. It's horrible, but I missed her too. The version of my mother who used to worry too much, who was always home, always fretting, afraid of everything and nothing. It's terrible, I know, but I liked taking care of her, knowing she needed me. I got over my blind rage toward my mother, but sometimes I worry that there is something I did on that island, something that I'm missing. If I only could remember, it would bridge the gap between who we were there and who we have become. When my mother enters the cafe, her presence drowns out the noise. She is vibrant, her personality big and ever-present, and even as she nears her mid-40s, people stop what they are doing to notice her. She has recently pierced her nose, and her blonde hair is curly and falls loosely around her shoulders. A purple silk scarf wrapped tightly around her neck turns the freckles scattered on her cheekbones auburn. Before she slides into the seat across from me, my mother gently touches the little girl's head and says, "That's enough for now." The girl and her mother smile and move away from the piano. I stand and close the lid, smacking it down too loudly, and my mother raises an eyebrow at me. She unwinds her scarf, and it peels off her neck, releasing the scent of mixed cloves. "Mom, I hear how weak I am. You look exhausted, honey." "I am. Are you not sleeping?" she asks, but goes off on a tangent about how she has found another house to flip, an amazing old brick 3-story near the college. Plenty of room if you want to move in. When we lived in the house on the edge of the quarry, long named Quarry Hollow, my mom was constantly trying to fix it up. Paint and stain. Found lumber dragged in to construct built-in bookshelves. A cafe table to our left empties, and the 3 people rise to put their dirty plates and cups into the dishpan not 5 feet from us. The clank of ceramic and silverware is a momentary distraction that makes both my mom and me look. For a moment, my mom stops talking, but then she turns back to me, speaking again about the beauty of the front walk and how it leads to a front door that will one day be grand. Dad had refused to leave the island even in January and February, when the wind blew across our 4 miles of rock and sand with such fierceness that we'd lose power for weeks. Mom had become determined to turn the house into something more modern, more inhabitable than the showy yet run-down Victorian that great-great-grandfather Seth Volt had built. She read book after book about repairing old houses and went to the Island Museum to watch episodes of This Old Housey on PBS with Miss Sonia, the island curator. Mom would come home from those afternoons smelling of sage and chamomile with ideas about which wall to knock out and how to install ceiling lights that would get rid of the constant gloom. The house, like our father, saw no value in these improvements and resisted all my mother's efforts. Water stains bled up through newly painted walls. Unpatchable horsehair plaster spilled its course, pubic insides no matter how much new she layered on with her putty knife. I once found her sitting on the floor in the long downstairs hallway, banging her forehead softly against the house. I was trying to hang family photos, but the wall is soft. Something must be leaking in there, but from where? There are no pipes in this part of the house. I'd been watching her hit her head against the wall for a long time before she noticed me. The bang of her head to plaster wasn't hard, and the wall seemed to absorb it, bounce her back a little, as if her skull were a rubber ball. It's an old house, Mom. I meant, I suppose, that a pipe, an electrical wire, an extra joist, or a beam could be just about anywhere. I can't stand up to it much longer, Henrietta. I'm losing. I don't remember if I said anything after that, but the divorce was finalized within the year, and later, my mom became a contractor, eventually moving that business here to be near me while I went to college. The thrill of a project house just waiting to be saved had made her miss the sorrow in my voice during this morning's phone call and skate past my tiredness in the cafe. I interrupt her. It's Daddy. She goes still. The flush in her cheeks disappears. Her freckles stand out like stars in a pale sky. What's he done? She whispers, and in her voice I hear something like horror. He hasn't done anything. Is it Quarry Hollow? What are you talking about? My throat is suddenly thick with phlegm. Jesus. Now I am scared. Did something happen to BB? She reaches for my arm. He's dead, Mama. Daddy died. Where? What difference could that possibly make? It matters. Her hand tightens on my arm until it hurts. I try to pull away. You're hurting me. Where did he die, Henrie? In bed. While he was sleeping. Let go. She lets go. They have his body. Jesus. Of course. He was 69. That's not old, but it's not young. People die, right? Sure, she says, suddenly distracted. Her right hand goes to her eye. She plucks out a lash and then another, her face gone ghostly white. People die. My mother met my father only a year after his first wife, Olivia Rose, BB's mother, died. My mother got pregnant with me right away, and they married out of love or obligation or both. The 20-year age difference and pregnancy before marriage were shocking to many. Her own parents, my grandparents, disowned her, but my mom took it all in stride. She wanted what she wanted, confident and beautiful and ready for anything, or so she thought. My mother must have known early on that she and Olivia Rose shared the same long blonde hair, blue eyes, and porcelain features. She couldn't have been on island long before someone gasped, mistaking her for Olivia Rose. She has admitted to me in recent years that there was a moment when she'd realized my dad was still grieving when they met, and that his attraction to her was first and foremost a product of that grief. Apparently, my dad had stopped her in the frozen food aisle of a bodega in NYC where she was choosing an ice cream sandwich. She'd closed the freezer door, ice cream in hand, to see a handsome older man staring at her. They looked at each other for a while until my father said, "You look just like my wife." My mother, thinking it was a romantic gesture and not a literal one, responded, "And you look just like my husband." We sit quietly in the cafe. My head pulses. Mom, I wish that little girl was still playing the piano. She shuts her eyes. BB is already there. She is putting together a service for this weekend. She doesn't want me to bring you. You're going? Her eyes open. I have her attention now. Of course I'm going. Do you want me there? I want you to come with me. Then I'm coming. We'll go together, but we stay at the inn. It's masquerade. We'll have trouble getting a room. What about those yurts at the state park? Are those still there? How would I know? I haven't been back any more recently than you. You're right. Leave it to me. I'll rent us something. I won't stay in Quarry Hollow, and neither will you. Please don't start. Start what? Acting like that house is out to get you. You know as well as I do that that island is a magnet for trouble. A fucking lighthouse for disaster. Mom. Sorry. My mom shakes her head a little as if to clear it. Smiling slyly, she adds, I shouldn't have said the F word. I laugh a little. I can't help it. Then lean back in my chair. It's just an island. A house. A place where we were both sad. I say, but even I know that doesn't feel quite true. I loved it there. You and BB thought it was haunted when you were kids. You used to talk with the ghosts, tell BB what they said. She was convinced one of them was her mother. I don't remember that. It's a lie. I kind of do. But you do remember how women always disappeared in that quarry? The humor in her voice is already gone. That's gossip. If women were disappearing on island, someone would care. There would be bodies. My mother shakes her head at me, back and forth again and again, as if offended by my naivete. Not if they were women no one was looking for. Women who had been disowned by their families or orphaned. Women the system didn't care enough about to keep looking. Ask your. She pauses, and I know she was about to say dad, but says instead, sister. Islanders called it the killing pond because women would arrive on Fowler, sad and alone, then quickly go missing, never to be seen again. But items were always left behind on the quarry cliff above the pond. A necklace, a sweatshirt, a purse. Had they all jumped from that spot, they'd have hit the sharp rocks that hid beneath the water far below. Death would be immediate. But there should have been bodies, and pretty messed up bodies at that. You can see the quarry cliff perfectly from the turret on that house. In fact, it was probably built just there so that your great-great-grandfather Seth Volt could sit back and watch women jump. My mother's voice rises with the idea. She sounds fucking crazy. Mom, what are you even talking about? The pond wasn't there when the house was built. She waves me off. Point is, it's all fucking connected. That's what I'm saying, and I always thought your father knew more than he was saying. He knew where those women went. I guarantee it. Jesus, Mom, what are you accusing Dad of? Sorry. She comes back into herself a little bit. She locks eyes with me before adding. Nothing. Your father loved you. I just think we were lucky to get out when we did. If it was that bad, how could you have possibly left BB behind? I regret asking as soon as it's out of my mouth. My mother's hand reaches up to her lashes again, another small clump gone. I shouldn't have left her. I knew better then, and I knew better all those years that I didn't go back for her. It's not something I'll ever forgive myself for. Sorry. I keep my voice quiet. I am sorry. So very sorry for bringing it up. Guilt for hurting my mother, for not doing more for my sister, blooms in my chest. It can't have been so bad on Fowler, I tell myself. My mother is misremembering. Plus, BB wanted to stay. And she's fine. She got to go off island for college. Hell, she's finishing grad school now. She's okay. I can't tell if my mother hears me. She's far away again, even as she asks. Do you remember anything about our last summer there? I remember BB got me a dog. Toast. A little mutt of a dog. Disappeared. Like those women. Everything on that damn island ends up dead or disappeared. Stop. I say, anger creeping into my voice. My mom puts her hands on the table, palms flat, and pushes herself to standing. I can order us breakfast burritos. Coffee. I don't think I can eat. She studies me for a while. Fuck, Hen. We barely escaped that island. Coffee, Mom. Please. Yes, right. She steps out from the table, but then turns around and leans over to put her arms around my shoulders, hugging me. I love you, honey. I don't want to cry, so I hold myself stiffly until she lets go. How long has it been since you'd seen him? We talked on the phone. No. When did you last see him? 5 years. High school graduation. We will go say goodbye together. To the house. The island. You'll be free of it after that. He wanted that for you. BB was his favorite. This, I can see, makes her truly sad. He sacrificed a lot for you even if you couldn't see it. My mother flicks her hair over her shoulder and holds my face in her hands. Her eyes are the beautiful version of my own. She leans in closer and whispers, with your father gone, the island is going to want you back, Henrietta. We are going to have to fight. To Beatrice. 1989. Girls. 5 more minutes, and we'll call it summer, Carrie says, insisting we finish a novel that's an imitation of The Catcher in the Rye except the main character isn't at all sexy like Holden Caulfield. Who writes this shit? Wait, what? Henrie says, staring intensely at the pages in front of her before looking up. Finney dies. Yes, he's dead, dummy. The whole thing is homoerotic and Finney loves George. Jean, Carrie corrects me. Fine. Jean. Why can't anyone write what they really mean? If Jean and Phineas love each other, and that's what that dumb book is about, why didn't the author just say so? Carrie's smile is pulling up the left side of her mouth. She thinks I'm clever. A stranger could tell. She wears her feelings slapped up on her face. Angry, happy, sad, lonely, 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 lonely. It's up for debate, actually, Carrie says. Many people don't think it is about sexual love at all. Carrie's got these freckles across the bridge of her nose sprinkled there like cinnamon. People say she looks like my mother, but I don't see it. My mother was wild and islandy, her skin clear of blemishes. And she was full of mischief, like me. Not that I remember any of that myself, but Miss Sonia has shown me pictures and Dad loves to tell stories about her. Carrie homeschools Henrie and me through the winter along with a gaggle of other kids whose parents refuse to leave the island even in the grimmest of months. The other kids aren't interesting, except maybe for Wilderness, whom we also call Wild, as in Wildy. He's so tall already. It's made him shy, and he never wants to make eye contact with me, which makes it more fun to try. Winter is horrible here. The island transforms into a hunk of rock and ice, then sits so angry and scrunched up that the sun doesn't even want to try to get to us. It's like Alcatraz, not that I've ever seen it or anything besides this island and the Ohio mainland. Daddy wants to raise me and Henrie without the interference or the influence of the greater world. No television, except when we sneak to Miss Sonia's, and few trips to the mainland. The world will have plenty of time to tell you what's wrong with you when you go to college. For now, we are heathens and heretics and harbingers. Harbingers of what? I might ask, and he will answer. Of heathens and heretics, of course. I don't know what homoerotic is, Henrie says. It means those two boys want to knock boots. Do each other up and down. Fuck. Beatrice, Carrie says. There aren't a lot of other diehard families on Fowler. Wild's father is the island sheriff. They moved here when Wild was a baby. His mother died of cancer or something, so we have the dead mother thing in common. Then there's the Albertsons, whose son is just now 8. Frank and Rita, whose daughter is Henrie's age, although hardly friend material since she hates being touched and doesn't make eye contact. The Cunningham twins are 10 and the Clarks, who have 7 kids between them, ranging from 5 to 10, all of them stupid and boring. Then there is us. Henrietta, who will be 14 in July, and I'm the eldest and most gorgeous at 16 going on 25. I got my boobs last fall and my period this winter. Bled like mad for a week. Carrie tried to mother me with chicken soup. I said, I don't have the goddamn flu. Get me some meds. We don't believe in pharmaceuticals around here. Only natural solutions, which I call the herbs, and I pronounce herbs like it's some dude's name. It gets on Carrie's nerves something awful, but I don't care, 'cause who doesn't have a bottle of fucking Tylenol? Tell me that. Anyhow, I am a woman now, and people can't take their eyes off me. I walk around kicking my hips out and letting my breasts bounce. I'm strong. Unstoppable. I cool it around Dad, though. It makes him uncomfortable. Nowadays, if Henrie and I are asking him a question, he looks at her the whole time and only glances at me if I force a burp or a fart. That still gets him laughing. Can we be done? I put my hands under my chin in mock prayer, kneeling when I catch a glimpse of Carrie's entertained smile. I'll pick you berries. I'll scoop the litter. Eat Dad's chipped beef. There is nothing wrong with your father's chipped beef. And you know that we don't have a cat. One of these days, Beatrice Bethany, one of these days, your big talking is going to get you in trouble. I hope so. I wiggle my eyebrows at Carrie. This family has a history of mamas too young to be mamas. Carrie is one of them. She had Henrie when she was 19, same as my mama. My mama was too young to die, as well. But she did both birth and death with a flagrance that calls for admiration. Not that my father will ever talk about it, which is absurd since having a dead mother is pretty much the worst and most interesting thing that could ever happen to you. Island women do things early and on their own. Our father says, sometimes with pride and always with great sadness. Carrie is not an island woman. She's always wincing and checking over her shoulder. She thinks I don't know about her and Miss Sonia. I'm pretty sure they've got a thing going on. They've been friends forever, but recently she's always stammering and blushing anytime Miss Sonia comes up. Even Daddy has noticed. No one gives a fuck. Carrie should just do what she wants like a real island woman. But instead, she seems even more timid, like she's either sneaking up on something or trying to sneak away. It's so damn easy to startle her. I swear, if you walk around expecting to be snuck up on, something is going to sink its teeth right into your bones. I heard a fairy come in first thing this morning. Maybe your Joshua was on there, Carrie says to Henrie. Mom, she protests. We met Joshua on island last summer. He and I are closer in age, but he's got no edge to him. Superbering. Henrie can be a little like that too. She's only adventurous, 'cause I'm teaching her to be. Come to think of it, I don't think she's noticed how her mom and Miss Sonia flirt. So, can we go? My voice is no longer impatient. I'm good at knowing when I've won. Yes. Go. Be free. School's out for summer. Watch out for tourists. We love you. Love you. Love you. I announce for both us girls. Summer people and tourists are two entirely different groups of people. Islanders, that's us, don't officially care for either group, but if push comes to shove, we like summer people better. They own property on the island and so care, at least a little, about what happens to this rock. Tourists buy t-shirts and ice cream, and pay to see Miss Sonia's Island Museum and tour the old dock of fishing boats. They keep us islanders afloat, but we hate them. They drink too much, leave their garbage strewn all over the beach, and make way too much noise. They carve their names into trees and take pictures of us as if we are part of the landscape. Daddy has no time for anyone except for Henrie and me. Less me than Henrie, but still. He used to have time for Carrie, but now they barely speak to each other. It's not cause of whatever she's got going with Miss Sonia. Daddy flirts plenty, or at least he used to. Summer people love him, and there was that whole month he went and lived in that yurt with Courtney, or whatever her dumb name was. He's not a jealous person. It's more like he's scared Carrie is going to jump off the damn quarry cliff. Which I guess makes sense. That's how my mother left us. We say she's dead, but we don't have proof unless you count that Henrie can talk to the dead. She's heard M in the house her whole life, and she keeps me informed about what they say, especially the one we think is my mama. Where do we go first? Henrie asks me. Where do you think? Henrie follows me to the sweeping front porch. We launch down the porch steps, past the tires swing into the road. I raise my arms out to my sides to show my wingspan and soar. Good morning, Miss Penelope, you old whore. I place my fingers in the stone palm of Miss Penelope Fowler's angel monument. One of her fingers is missing. Beautiful summer ahead, Dr. Archibald, Henrie says to a flat gravestone. She taps it with her bare toes. Henrie says that touch is as important in death as it is in life. They may not be able to feel our skin on theirs, but they can feel that we are making an effort. Henrie's heart is so much bigger than mine. It's cause of her that we visit each grave at the beginning of the summer, as if the dead can get lonely. Even though Henrie is the baby sister, she watches out for me. She understands that I am motherless and that such a tragedy means I'm going to be fucked up for life. The little rituals she creates for us are all for me, so that I don't have to feel so sad all by myself. We'd stay longer, but it's Memorial Day and you know our ritual, Harold. Olivia Rose comes first. Henrie bends to press her palm flat to the long-neglected grass of Harold's cemetery plot. We'll be back soon. This is a Volt/Fowler family cemetery, the only graveyard allowed on the island. And there are 105 graves, but only 95 bodies. The other 10 graves hold nothing but pretty satin-lined caskets filled with limestone. The women disappear, mostly tourists, but sometimes Fowlers and a Volt, leaving only their trinkets on the quarry cliff above the killing pond. And then we must bury them anyway, plucking up body-size rocks in place of a corpse. My mom is one of those. A disappeared islander. Daddy said he knew what the island had done as soon as he found me floating in the quarry pond. I was just a baby, but I was an island baby, strong and born knowing how to swim. He'd say, "Your mother was swallowed up like all the rest." He was so mad. Rumor is he pulled me out of the pond only to leave. He got on the next ferry, left me and the island, and went to NYC for a whole year. Miss Sonia says that's not true. She says he was here, hiding in his office until she showed up. He didn't leave for New York until sometime after, but I say it hardly matters. He left me when my mom left, and he never quite came back. My mother's is the most recent bodiless grave. There is space next to her for Daddy when he goes, and a bit more space for me. So when we all die, vanished or not, we can make sure there's a place for the living to visit. Henry wasn't even a sparkle in Daddy's eye when he reserved these spots, and he always adds, seeing as how you and your sister are practically twins, we can just bunk you up. 2 peas in a pod. I don't know if that's allowed in real life, but it's too sad to think of us being separated so we don't ask more questions. No one, not even Carrie, brings up the lack of space for Carrie. It is on the list of things Henry and I call items not to be discussed upon pain of torturous death and suffering. Carrie's having no family plot is item 98. Come on, I holler. I'm at the gleamy tombstone that is my mother's. It is the only piece of new stone in the place, and sun glints off it, bouncing diamonds of light onto my skin. The ritual goes like this. Henrie slithers up, top of her head to the gravestone, and lays her body out over where my mom's body should be. It's an invitation, a gift. If my mom wanted to rise up, pour herself into a new body, she could have Henrie's. It's an absurd game. Mom's body isn't even down there, and Henrie knows more than anyone that Mom's ghost is in the house with the others. Still, we do the ritual every year, and I love Henrie for thinking it might make a difference. She lets her feet relax outward and places her palms over her heart. I spread her hair out in the grass, and she looks almost as beautiful as my mother would if she were down there. Hold still. I am still, Henrie says, even though I can see on her face that she knows she's wiggling. Mother Olivia, I always start with this. We give you this vessel as an offer of strength and light and peace. Summer is here, and the worms are squirming. Island waters are warming. We ask that you pour yourself into our bones to give us the strength to run and jump and swim and dive. Now we each have a specific summer wish. Is yours ready, Henry? Yes. I wish that Joshua Kevin Wilson spends the whole summer on island so we can fall madly in love and take a blood oath that our souls will never, ever be separated. My second wish is that my stupid body starts to look more like a girl body and less like something that should have a penis attached to it. I shut my eyes and pretend to listen intently for my mother's response. Granted, I think I will wish for what I always do, or some version of it anyway. My summer wish is that we sleep outdoors more than we sleep indoors, and that we swim until our skin pickles, and that we meet 3 new people who change our lives. Instead, I say, I wish that we leave the island. What? Henrie props herself up on her elbows. She squints at me. I imagine I look like Ms. Penelope's stone angel. You mean like to Cleveland for supplies, or whatever? No, like we get to travel. To a different state. To real water. Like the ocean. But it's summer. Henrie tries to fathom what I could possibly mean by this change. She's right. Summer on Fowler is full. We love it. If there was ever a time to run, it would be winter, but this spring is different. I can see it on Carrie. Even Daddy seems to be hiding from something. I've been thinking about it lately. Don't you want to travel? See California? Or how about Scotland? Paris? We need passports. Henrie wrinkles her nose and looks toward town as if trying to figure out where we could possibly get them. I'm not suggesting we buy airplane tickets right this minute. I'm just saying that at some point we will want to get off this island, right? Why not start this summer? And what if we could take our family with us? But we don't leave Fowler. We don't want to. Forget it. I didn't mean it. Now lie back down. I see that I've messed with her world. My stomach is suddenly tight. How could I ever leave this island? If we did leave, we'd have to take everyone with us. Daddy, Carrie, Sonia, my mother. It isn't possible. Henrie does as she's told, and the ritual quickly becomes familiar again. We love you, Mother Olivia, and we promise to take every moment of summer and live it to its fullest. Daddy bought me a pocket knife last summer, so I take it out of my pocket, then take my sister's hand. I make a small slice in the pad of her thumb, then one in my own. We mash them together. I put a red print on her forehead and another on mine. Island women forever, we say in unison. Before the slight breeze even begins to cool the feel of the blood on my forehead, Henrie shouts, "Come on, our bell tower awaits." Miss Sonia runs the Island Museum, which sits at the edge of our cemetery. She's a second mother to us, or, in my case, a third, and she lives in the old island church that Elizabeth and Eileen Fowler built before Seth Volt ruined everything. The modest limestone building is 2 stories, although the second floor is only a loft, which Miss Sonia has turned into her apartment. We aren't allowed up there unless we are watching movies. The bell tower is made of wood and painted bright white, stretching up higher than the rest of the building. I'm gonna beat you. Henrie hollers back at me as she begins to run. She's fast, a tiny little body with no fat, but her legs are short, so I know I can catch her if I want to. I don't plan to pass her, but once my legs get moving, it feels so good that I push harder. My body flies forward. I take Ms. Sonia's stone steps 2 at a time and smack my flat palm to the arched wood doors first. Winner, winner! I shout. You are so fast. Henrie is proud of me. She's always rooting for someone else, never seeming to notice when I miss my moment to be kind or modest. Morning, girls. The voice comes from behind us, and we both shriek. Miss Sonia's got on her jogging clothes, a gray sweatband in her black hair, even though her hair is short and spikes up around her face. Did my 10. She's not out of breath, so she's either lying or had her cool down already. I know she's not lying. She runs the periphery of the island early in the morning and likes to say, "Someone has to check to make sure no one broke in last night," as if the island is a house to be robbed. She always pauses dramatically, then adds, "or broke out." Most of the time it seems like the kind of tired joke adults make to kids, but sometimes she says it and sounds freaked out. Dad says she's the latest island curator, Eileen Fowler being the first. It's summer, Henrie announces. Well, technically, it's still spring, Miss Sonia corrects. Summer isn't here until late June. Summer, Henrie shouts back in defiance. We've told you this before, I say. The arrival of summer is not calendar dependent. It is based on the weather and our feelings. Fair enough. Miss Sonia stretches her calves on the stairs. BB, you look older. Like a woman suddenly. Did you look like that last week? I feel myself glow with the compliment. Henrie answers for me. She did. The tank top just shows off her boobies. I think she should wear a bra. My mom gave her a bunch. Miss Sonia sends a little spray of spit out into the sunshine, taken off guard by her own laugh. I look exactly the same. Henrie looks down at her flat chest and her belly, which still sticks out like a toddler's. Miss Sonia stops stretching and takes the steps slowly but 2 at a time. She kisses Henrie on the top of her head. You are perfect just as you are. Miss Sonia whispers something I can't hear in Henrie's ear, and I feel a flush of jealousy rising to my face. Done with her whispering, Miss Sonia throws open the church doors. The old wooden floor inside is beautiful, fully refinished by Miss Sonia, and you can still see where each church pew used to bolt into the floor. Little dark spots in the otherwise blonde wood that prove this island was working at things long before I came along. She rushes to her desk, where she retrieves 2 sets of earplugs and a skeleton key. Fit them in tight. She hands us the earplugs. Henrie loves the squish of the purple foam and obediently starts rolling them between her fingers so they'll fit tightly into her ears. BB, Miss Sonia drags out my name. You don't want to end up like my grandfather, deaf in the left and lazy in the right. We had to yell the simplest of statements at him. It was always Granddad. Your fly is down. Granddad, don't eat that. Maybe he was just ignoring you. I say it low and try to keep the words mostly at the back of my throat. I look at Miss Sonia to see if she's heard my sass, but she's good at keeping her face still. How much do we really know about her? I think. But then Henrie is shouting too loudly. The earplugs already doing their work. It's my year to ring the bell. Well then, go on. You two are old enough to be on your own up there. I've got to get in the shower. Ring it as many times as you want. I'll make sure to give it a little push with my mind to get you started. Miss Sonia likes to pretend she's got telekinesis or whatever it's called. She says Eileen Fowler could move things just by thinking on them. That might be. Eileen and Elizabeth Fowler were magic, but the only thing Eileen and Miss Sonia have in common is the dumb museum. It's not like there is blood between them. We head up the stairs that hug the wall of the old church spire. The stairs look old, but Miss Sonia's rebuilt them. Carrie's been helping, or, rather, trying to learn how to be helpful. She's over here a lot. Like all the time. She's got this idea that Quarry Hollow can be fixed up to be beautiful again if Miss Sonia teaches her how to do all the things. Problem is, I don't think it was ever beautiful. Not in the way Carrie thinks it was. It's all strange angles and dark corners and 2 thick walls. Like great-great-grandpa built it special to trap the ghosts and keep out the light. Even the big front windows are covered by the roof of the wraparound porch, with shutters on the inside and the outside. We reach the top of the stairs, 3 stories above where we started. It's the second tallest building on the island, and through the slats of the bell tower, you can see forever in all directions. Henrie is unwinding the thick rope from its resting place. Is it time? She smiles. I've left my right earplug out. I keep the left side of my body toward Henrie so she won't notice. Henrie pulls, and the sensation of the metal so loud and close is full enough to make my teeth hurt. The sun leaks through the slats of the bell tower, and a century's worth of dirt rains down on us like toxic fairy dust. Henrie's fingers do not meet on the other side of the rope unless both hands are used, so she's latched on tight before the first pull. The bell is pulling her up and down on her toes before the third bang. The noise doesn't hurt, not really, but I can feel it hit my eardrum as surely as a slap to my cheek. It is booming, full and round in its sound. If I plug my ear up now, the sensation of that sound might be contained in my body, where I might hear it again and again, but Henrie is looking at me, and I don't want her to know. When the bell finishes ringing and the sound of the birds outside and the rustle of the leaves come back, I point my face to the outside world and take a couple deep breaths. Through the broken slats, some 30 feet below, I see Joshua. Henrie, it's your lucky day. Look, I point. Tell me who it is. Henrie does not get up. I watch until Joshua is gone from view, which doesn't take long. He's running with a couple other kids I don't recognize up the steps and into the museum below. His hair seems blonder, as if he's already spent a summer on island rather than just beginning one. Joshua. Henrie has a weird expression on her face, a combination perhaps of wanting to throw up and wanting to look. I pick up a small pebble and throw it at her. Somewhere below us a door opens, then, after a few beats, slams. He's downstairs. I mouth at Henrie as if he'd be able to hear us. How did you do that? Henrie whispers, as if I manifested Joshua. I don't really like him. Bullshit. He doesn't even know who I am. Sure he does. We hung out with him last summer. He won't remember me. He does remember you. How could you know that? He kissed me last summer. I forgot I had decided never to tell Henrie this, but remember as soon as her face turns all shocked and sad. It wasn't a big deal. Like a peck on the cheek. It was more than a peck, and I'd started it. I'd been curious what it would feel like to kiss a boy, and there he was in the old bookstore on Division Street. I grabbed his collar and pulled him behind the curtain that separates the book sorting area from the bookselling area. Our teeth clanked together and his lips were dry, yet a string of spit hung between us when I pulled away. It was the first kiss of many last summer. A sort of experiment on my part. Well, if he's kissed you, then he's already forgotten me. Henrie shrugs, but hurt and worry are all over her face. I'm an asshole, Henrie. I'm sorry. I want to talk to him about you, and it just kind of happened. He likes you. He told me he did. This lie I know is too big. Too big if he doesn't like her or remember her. Too big if she believes me. But now it's out there, and her shoulders aren't as high up around her neck, and it made her face uncrinkle. What else could I have done? I think to myself, but Carrie says this is a famous line of mine. One I should stop using since it implies my actions are not within my control. And we both know, Beatrice Bethany, that you have full control over that body and mind. She always says that body and mind, the word that giving away how much she doesn't like me. I scramble around in my head to come up with a truth for Henrie so that the lie maybe gets smaller next to it. Remember that girl who summers with her friend's family? They live in the limestone house on Division Street. I love that house. Yes. The girl, Henrie, not the house. Focus. Okay, fine. Was she Asian or something? Japanese American. I was into her last summer. Are you gay now? I picture Jennifer's dark braid, which rested flat between her shoulder blades, and her unnaturally long fingers. She's a loner, always walking the island with headphones on or reading a book, never stumbling over sidewalk cracks or tree roots. Just because I made out with a chick doesn't mean I'm gay. I'm not interested in Joshua. That's the point. Is she gay? You are missing the point, Henrie. Jennifer ignores me. She won't even talk to me. Henrie's told me how she tried to make friends with Jennifer last summer. She'd walked up to her and said, "What are you reading?" Jennifer told me later that Henrie asked, even though it was perfectly clear that Jennifer was reading Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. I did talk to Joshua. He knows who you are. He knows you like him. Why would you tell him that? I feel sick. Henrie flops onto her belly, pressing her forehead to the floorboards, and gives them a little pound with both fists before sitting back up to cross her legs with an exaggerated sigh. You're always staring at him. He wanted to know what was up with you. No, like really, I feel sick. My stomach is all tight, and last night I couldn't sleep. It hurt so much. I look at my sister kitty corner from me. Really look. She is cross-legged on the floor in her jean shorts, and a heavy shadow is on the seam between her legs. It takes me a minute before I realize it isn't a shadow. Henrie, you're bleeding. Henrie's hands immediately go to her ears, probably to take out her earplugs, but also with a bit of a panic. She thinks the blood may be coming from her head, the bell having liquefied some piece of her brain. She looks at her hands as if for blood. Your period, Henrie. You have your period. This time she looks down between her legs. No way, she says in a daze. I stand and go to her, pull her up to her feet, and kiss her cheeks and eyelids. This is it. Shouldn't there have been other signs first? Like what? Boobs. More pubes. Something. Maybe the bell shook something loose, and I'm dying. Be serious, Henrie. This is awesome. I wished for it, and now it's here, she whispers. I can see the joy start to bloom on her face. You know what this means. It means you're a woman, Henrie. We are both women, I exclaim, then begin to howl like a wolf, which makes her laugh. Hen? BB. Miss Sonia hollers up. Henrie shushes me, finger to lips. I know what to do, Henrie. Don't tell her. We're fine, Miss Sonia. I holler down, giving Henrie my best goofy grin. It means that my other wish might come true. The one about, you know. Joshua. Shush. Oh, this is gonna be the summer, Henrie. Best ever. Come on. I grab her hand and pull her up to her feet. We go down the old stairs, through Miss Sonia's home, and out into the yard. I should clean up. People will see. Let them see. I should tell my mom. We will. Soon enough. Come on. Run. Slow down. I feel sick. BB. I do not slow down. I keep tight hold of her hand, and slowly she matches my speed, running faster, running wild, and screaming away from the graveyard and the Little No More church, back down Division Street, and through our yard to the quarry. We scramble down rock into the quarry, then break through tall weeds to get to the edge of the quarry pond. We take off our clothes and jump into the water. It's shockingly cold. The summer has yet to warm it. We dive down deep and hold our breath as long as we can, mermaid hair swimming around our heads, rusty red rising from between Henrie's legs. We come up for a breath of air, then I take her back under, signal for her to follow me. Down near the quarry bottom is a shelf in the wall, a hole from which I extract a corked bottle. What is it? She asks once we surface. It's where we'll keep our story. The summer we were both women. We'll write it and hide it down there, and in 100 years someone will find it and know what we did. Who we were. Who are we? I smile and press my forehead to hers. We are the Volt sisters. Think lightning bolts. Think electricity. I look to the sky. She matches my head tilt, and we listen to the island. Birds sing, somewhere a branch cracks, and beneath it all we can hear the land groaning, rocks grinding against one another. 3 carry. 2000. Old Route 68 curves north through small-town Ohio, without any irony. Signs boast dwindling populations, and tattered lamppost banners hang over the heads of dead-eyed storefronts. Henrie is driving, so I have time to stare out the window, my heart aching for each of these places. A structure is a living thing with a history and personality worth saving and, unlike a human being, can be stripped back to the studs, all the bad decisions peeled away to its point of origin before being rebuilt. We'll hit I-75N, which will dump us out on Route 6 long before I-75N plunges into Toledo and glides along the left side of Lake Erie. If I'm remembering correctly, we will deviate and drive due east through another run of ghostly small towns, including but not limited to New Rochester and Fremont, the latter of which is famous for a dam built on the Sandusky River. That dam keeps the walleye from migrating, pushing them back up into Lake Erie, where they'll die come winter, washing up on Fowler shores just when the island is starting to green its way towards summer. The confused smell of decay and new growth became so mingled in my brain that I still can't tell what to feel when a mouse dies in the walls of a house I'm renovating. My body reacts with disgust and a sense of promise. I look at Henrie in the driver's seat. She is 24, and her long hair is wild over her shoulders. The set of her chin is so determined that I want to touch her, so she knows I'm here, but her body is so stiff and of one piece that I don't know where to rest my hand. We've both changed since we left the island. Her memories of Fowler are selective, and I've been mostly glad for that. I remind myself that I had no choice but to get her out of there, just like I have no choice but to take her back. It's what James and I agreed on long ago. In my defense, BB had gone through puberty smoothly, or at least without island interference, and she had Sonia watching over her, training her to take over someday as island curator. She was moody, sure, proud of her new body and arrogant as hell, but there was nothing more to it. No animal ferocity, no disappearances, no spaces of time lost. I'd been warned to keep a close eye on her as her body shaped itself into a woman. We argued. She hated me a bit more than usual, but all this was to be expected. So, when it came Henrie's time, I was too wrapped up in my own troubles to notice. I'd forgotten to worry about anyone other than myself. If the eldest Volt hadn't had any difficulty, the youngest would certainly be fine, right? Wrong. Sonia assured me over the years that BB was and would be fine. That what we saw happen to Henrie would not happen to her. That promise, that BB's fate was secure, is what kept me from going back for her. James didn't know why, and he didn't care. BB was fine and Henrie was free. He assured me that he was taking care of it, and all I had to do was keep Henrie away. I did try to check in with BB. I tried to reach out, but she never reached back, and I gave up too quickly and with too much relief. Yesterday, I found BB's phone number in Henrie's cell when she fell asleep on my couch, a new number no one had bothered to give me. All these years I've told myself that BB was fine, that she was strong, that Sonia or maybe even her father would tell me if I needed to come get her. Henrie was the one that needed to be saved, but if I'm honest with myself, a painful thing to be, I know I sacrificed one daughter for the other. I called BB after I found her new number. Over and over. The phone going to voicemail so quickly that it was surely turned off. I tried the house phone too, but it was busy. Left unplugged, I guessed, in the tradition of her father. What would I have said if she'd picked up? I love you. I'm sorry. Will it all start up all over again? BB never picked up, although the endless ringing felt like her answer. I am already long gone that I bring my attention back to the car. Only I can't think of what to say to Henrie. My brain fumbles around, and I remember an on-island night with her and BB up in Sonia's loft. The old VCR making its ticking noise as we all cuddled together. We were happy. Do you remember that old movie? I asked Henrie. The one with the pink dragon named Falcon? Falcor, she says. It's called The Never-Ending Story. You loved that movie when you were a little girl. You must have watched it 20 times. 33. A little smile catches at the corner of her mouth. At Ms. Sonia's. Sonia. The name spoken out loud by my daughter makes me blush, guilt blooming in my chest. Dad never watched movies with us, did he? He hated television. Which is true. Quarry Hollow did not have a TV. James thought TV a waste of time. Why would anyone watch television when one could be reading? Or writing? Why didn't he ever come to Miss Sonia's? I think maybe Henrie is digging for information. Maybe she remembers more than she lets on, but there is no sign of that in her face or voice. I'm not sure. I say, hoping that'll be the end of it. James had a strong distrust of Sonia that predated me. She thinks she knows everything, he'd say whenever her name came up. She treats Beatrice like some kind of artifact that she's dusted off for study. He'd add whenever I'd remind him that Sonia had stepped in after Olivia Rose disappeared to help with BB. James didn't like how much Sonia knew about the failings of his family, or that she believed the girls when they said they talked to ghosts. And he hated how she held the history of his family inside the walls of the museum like something that needed to be guarded. James didn't like most people, but he loved his daughters. He was so young when I met him, a good 20 years older than me, but still young for his age. I look back now and see how lost he must have been, how much he did not yet know. The death of his first wife made him skinny and neglectful, his beard too full, although he assured me there is no such thing as a too full beard, and the lines on his forehead were beginning to deepen. He had ink on his fingers, which I'd later learn came from changing out and ranking typewriter ribbons, and a photo in his wallet of his baby girl. I mistook his grief for wisdom, I suppose. He was smart and funny, so unafraid to talk about his feelings, to write poems that made you feel ripped open. I was still living with my parents when, in that first month of knowing him, we stayed up all night. We talked and fucked and fell in some sort of love. Why didn't he like her? Miss Sonia. Henrie asks, not looking at me. I never understood that. He liked her fine. I say it too quickly. He didn't. I know that. Or me either, in the end. For reasons that lay largely on my shoulders. Mom, Henrie says flatly. I hate it when you do that. Just because it seems like the polite or easy thing to say doesn't make it any less of a lie. That's the thing about having a daughter. They can make you feel small with no effort at all. BB was a whiz at it. She was the first to realize what was going on between Sonia and me. The look BB gave me that morning she found me in Sonia's bed. I can still conjure it. Feel its deep chill turn my insides to ice. It was complicated, Henrie. Adult relationships almost always are. It's a true answer if not a full one. I loved Sonia. Not as much as she loved me, but I did love her. She was the first person who told me I could leave. We were sitting together on the steps of her building. It was warm enough to be outside and the sun was high, making her short dark hair gleam like crow feathers. I hadn't slept in days. While I was glad the winter was over, the dark cold of it was almost unbearable. Summer was always worse. The whole place came alive, feisty and in bloom, calling me in 1,000 directions. If I stayed, I would have bashed myself against quarry rock to make it all stop. She saw that and said, "Why don't you leave? Take Henrie and BB and go." I can't. All she said next was, "Why not?" I couldn't come up with an answer. Not one. What was that dark cloud that ate everything up in that movie called? I asked Henrie now. The nothing. What? I don't answer. Because it's still there, waiting for me. I can feel us wading into it the closer we get to Fowler. Not a cloud exactly, but something just as gray, inscrutable. I reach across to my daughter and tuck her hair behind her ear. "You're beautiful, you know that?" "Mom." Her little blush lets me know she likes it even if she doesn't want to. Henrie holds the steering wheel with both hands, and although we don't have the radio on, her thumbs jump and dance, tapping on the steering wheel in a nervous rhythm. It's not a habit of hers I've noticed before, and I want to put my hands over hers, tell her everything is going to be all right. I look out the passenger side window again. It's April in Ohio, and the air outside is just starting to find warmth, the sun shining more often than not. Small green buds dot tree branches, and verdant leaves push up through mulch. I loved it when I first got here, so charmed by the old Victorians and ornate post offices. Look at that one. I point out my window. The 3-story Victorian has a cupola and a porch that wraps the front, curving out of view. Do you see that porch? It's sweeping. Henrie glances over. It looks like Quarry Hollow. No, it doesn't. I speak too quickly again, giving away my anxiety, as well as the truth of her observation. I see that the house does. The sheer size of it. The clapboard siding. The porch looks so deep, disappearing around the sides, it might as well be a moat. The giant tower of a third eye looking out over everything. It's the same as the house on Fowler. I turn away. We cross the border of the last small town we'll see on 68, its gas station disappearing behind us. The town crumbled away at the edges. We'll hit 75 soon, I say, as if this information holds some value. My own mother used to read the road signs aloud on summer trips to the Finger Lakes, a habit that made me so angry as a teenager that I could barely breathe. "Where are we staying when we get to the island?" Henrie asks. We both agreed that we did not want to stay at Quarry Hollow. That decision, thank goodness, had been easy. I got us the last room at the Island Inn. I read online that the new owner gutted it when they bought it. Bud owned like a dozen cats, and he wouldn't let any of them out. Said they'd drown. Remember that? As if cats could fill their pockets with stones and wander into a body of water. I'm babbling now, nervous at what's about to happen. Henrie taps louder on the wheel. I'm not sure he was worried about quite that scenario, but he did love his cats. He used to squirt BB and me with vinegar if we cut across his land, she says. BB liked to get as close as she could without actually getting hit. It was probably a sign of his affection. It's a good memory for Henrie. I can tell by how she smiles again. Slight, but they're all the same. I'm sorry I didn't do a better job getting your father to visit us after the divorce. It's true, but it's also a lie. She signals to merge onto the highway, and the click of it takes me back to the day we left. How we sat waiting for the ferry, the dark night pushing in on the car, the rain falling in fat drops, and the sound of that turn signal clicking away like someone peeling their tongue off the roof of their mouth over and over. Why didn't you ever try to go back? I know why I stayed away, but Henrie loved her father, her sister. She did not seem scared of the island or aware of what change it brought about in her. You used to pluck at yourself when we talked about it. Her voice rises at the end of the sentence. She has rediscovered a moment that she shelved away, and I watched the revelation of it in the profile of her face. Once you twisted a long strand of hair around your fingers so tightly that this chunk of hair came out of your head, right out of your scalp. Do you remember that? I feel myself go pale. I do not remember this. And she looks back at the road, her thumbs suddenly beating out a much faster rhythm. Dad came to see us, and we all talked on the phone and wrote letters. It was fine, Mom, really. Suddenly, just like that, I realize I've made her protect me. I was so young when she was born. James was my first love. I didn't know what I was doing, and I raised Henrie to be my friend more than to be my daughter. I regret that now. Do you remember the day we left? Of course, she says. I run my hand over the faded navy of the dashboard. I called her Betsy back then. Remember that? I still call her Betsy. You, me, this car. We fled the island, and now we are purposefully going back. Henrie lets the car fill up with silence, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4 in my head until I reach 32. Finally, she says, fled seems a little dramatic, Mom. What do you remember? I'm worried about what she'll say. I remember the rain, and that both of us were soaking wet. Henrie belted in next to me, held still against the seat with duct tape. It was duct tape and not rope. Her head tilted to the window, drool coming out off her mouth. I don't want the memory or the creeping horror that comes with it. Help me look for signs for Route 6. That's what we need next, right? She asks, knowing full well that Route 6 is the last black stretch of asphalt we need to make it to the ferry. Do you remember, Henrietta? I ask again. Mom, I don't want to talk about it. Isn't Dad's death enough right now? She's right. I stare out my window. Your dad always said the island was sad. He said it needed us to keep it warm. That's not what he said. She spits out, as if she's been waiting the whole ride to correct me on this point. He said we kept its belly full in the winter. The corrected memory hits me hard, and I press back into my seat, a hand to my belly. As a metaphor, it's all too digestive. I finally say, trying to make a joke, but hearing this truth aloud makes me uncomfortable. I always thought he meant we were the things that kept it afloat, Henrie says, flicking on the turn signal again. In the winter, when it was all barren and brittle, we filled it up like air in a balloon, and in the summer, when everything was green and full, it didn't need us to keep it afloat. No, I think it needed us to feed it. James had always talked this way too, about the island as a cork, bobbing about in Lake Erie. We anchored it when it needed us, like it was a request, like I should be grateful to a place for holding on to me when really it was an act of violence. A prison I was supposed to say please and thank you to for providing me with food and water. I hated James for that idea, for making me feel like my unhappiness was crazy. I haven't thought of this in a long time. One time I was in the tire swing and Dad kind of lay down on the ground, put his legs through the hole so they rested on my belly, and he could rock me side to side. Your mom is drowning here, he said. I'm silent for a moment. What did you say? I don't know. It felt like I knew what he meant at the time. My eyes have filled with tears, sudden and blinding. The world out the car window blurs, but I can still make out the bright blue of the sign that arches over the road announcing Marblehead. The ferry is nearly full when we reach it. Several other islands are nearby, but their ferries leave from a dock closer to Toledo. Those are the more popular islands. They thrive almost all year round, with a variety of choices. Fowler is small, a one-trick pony with little to do besides fish and eat poorly made ice cream. I'm told that the water that surrounds Fowler is somehow colder and choppier than the water that surrounds the other islands, as if Erie itself is altered by the desolate rock that is my daughter's birthplace. Growing up on Manhattan, I thought the idea of owning a whole island, even if it was off the coast of Ohio, was incredible, impossibly romantic, a sign of true riches. I learned quickly it was quite the opposite. We are packed between a pickup truck full of people dressed as ghouls and an old-school bus painted with pot leaves. Just as many people walk onto the ferry as drive on. The walkers have already begun drinking and are in various stages of costume. Some of them carry backpacks with boas peeking out or wear belts with plastic swords, sweatpants and glitter, shorts and high heels, black cloaks not yet zipped, and fairy wings hooked to parkas that will be lost overboard crossing the lake. The island is just beginning to crawl hungrily out of the winter dark, and now there are costumes and liquor to wake up the horror of it all. We stay in the car. Windows up, I say. Then I take Henrie's hand, and she lets me. I close my eyes to wait. I dream James is still alive, sitting at his typewriter in his second-floor study. On the piece of paper, I can see my dear Carrie Ann, then words that are unreadable. I stretch to see what he has to say, but the words make no sense, and I am floating, peering in the window, buoyed by water that feels icy and gelatinous. He's pounding away at the old royal typewriter so fast and so hard that his fingers attach themselves to the keys. His flesh stretches like silly putty, pulling his fingertips into a viscous liquid, which he does not seem to notice. I turn away in disgust, but when I look back again, I see Henrie and Beebe inside the room too, posing with their heads thrown back, waiting for me to take their picture with their father. In the dream, I lift my hands as if there were a camera. I take hundreds of pretend photos before I look through the non-lens to the wall behind the girls. The old horsehair plaster bristles like the hair on the back of a dog, an angry shuffling that makes me twist to see what is sneaking up behind me. I see faces pressing through the plaster. One of them is Henrie's. The ridge of her furrowed brow, the growl of her lips, and James rising from the keys, rubber fingers dragging, as he barks back at her, trying to call her out of the wall with a guttural noise from deep in his throat. I wake abruptly. Henrie's eyes are still closed. I loosen my grip on her hand, and her eyes open, pupils too wide for the sun rushing in the windshield. I watch them tighten. Are we there? She does not need an answer. It's easy to see that the lake is still all around us. I need air. She unlocks her door, stepping out before I can try to stop her. I lean over so I can watch out the driver's side window as she gains her footing on the deck, then weaves through passengers to the balcony of the viewing deck. I lose sight of her for a second at the base of the stairs, and I hold my breath until she reappears, climbing up to where I know I won't be able to see her. I can feel it coming. The island. Big and bad and breathy. I reach over to the driver's door to lock it,